Dr. Keela Venn had studied human biology for 15 years, published 17 papers on human physiology, and consulted on 3 major xenobiological exchange programs. She thought she understood humans. She was wrong. It started as an academic experiment. The Nexari Council of Sciences had approved a revolutionary consciousness transfer program, the first of its kind in galactic history. For 90 days, Dr. Venn's consciousness would inhabit a human body while a human volunteer, Dr. Sarah Chen, would experience life as a Nexari. The goal was to foster deeper understanding between their species, to bridge the gap between alien minds through direct experience. Keela had volunteered immediately. As a Nexari, a species with orange skin that shimmered with bioluminescence, naturally blonde hair, and a physiology based on crystalline neural structures, she'd always been fascinated by the messy, chaotic biology of humans. Their carbon-based systems seemed so inefficient, so prone to malfunction, yet they'd achieved remarkable things. She wanted to understand why. The transfer procedure took place at the Interspecies Research Station orbiting Earth's moon. Keela remembered lying on the medical platform, watching the technicians prepare the neural interface, feeling excited rather than afraid. Her last thought before the transfer was clinical. Finally, I'll have empirical data instead of just observations. Then the world exploded into sensation. Keela gasped, actually gasped, feeling air rush into lungs that required constant inflation, feeling a heart that beat with primitive mechanical regularity instead of the smooth electromagnetic pulses she was used to. Her eyes opened, and the visual spectrum was all wrong. Humans could only see such a limited range. Where were the ultraviolet markers, the infrared signatures? But what shocked her most was the noise inside her head. Nexari consciousness was orderly. Thoughts flowed in logical sequences, each processed and filed before the next one emerged. Human consciousness was chaos. 1,000 thoughts seemed to fire simultaneously. Hunger, curiosity, anxiety, a random memory of coffee, wondering if the transfer worked, noticing the temperature, hearing every small sound, all at once in a cacophonous mental symphony. "Dr. Venn, can you hear me?" The technician's voice seemed incredibly loud. Keela tried to speak and was startled by the vibration in her, Sarah's, throat. "Yes, this is overwhelming." "That's normal. The human brain processes information very differently than Nexari neural matrices. You'll adjust." But would she? In the first hour alone, Keela experienced more sensations than she typically processed in a day. The human body demanded constant attention. It was hungry, then thirsty. Then it needed to eliminate waste, a biological function that Nexari handled far more efficiently through their crystalline metabolism. The body was too hot, then too cold. It itched in random places. It produced sweat, which was disgusting. It required sleep, which seemed like a terrible waste of time. "How do humans accomplish anything?" Keela muttered as she struggled with the simple task of walking. Nexari moved through a combination of muscle control and magnetic field manipulation. Humans just lurched forward on 2 unstable legs, constantly catching themselves from falling. It was absurd. Dr. Michael Torres, the human scientist overseeing the project, found her frustration amusing. "You'll get used to it." Sarah said the same thing about your body. She can't figure out how you navigate without proprioception the way we experience it. The first week was hell. Everything about the human body seemed designed for maximum inefficiency. Eating took forever, all that chewing, and humans could only process a limited range of nutrients. Sleep consumed 8 hours a day. The body's temperature regulation was a constant battle. And the emotions, oh, the emotions. Nexari experienced emotions, of course, but they were gentle, manageable things that arose, were acknowledged, and passed. Human emotions were tsunamis. They crashed over Keela without warning, dragging her into their depths. She found herself crying at a sad commercial, actual tears streaming down her face, and couldn't understand why. She got angry at minor inconveniences, felt anxiety about things that logically didn't matter, experienced joy so intense it was almost painful. I don't understand how humans function with this level of emotional volatility, Keela told Dr. Torres during their daily check-in. My research indicated emotional responses, but experiencing them is. It's debilitating. How do you make rational decisions? Torres smiled. We don't always, that's part of being human, but emotions aren't just obstacles to rationality, they're data. They tell us what matters, what to avoid, what to pursue. Your logic works differently, but ours works too. Keela wasn't convinced. Not yet. Week 2 brought new challenges. The human body's social requirements were exhausting. Nexari were naturally solitary, coming together for specific purposes, then returning to individual contemplation. Humans seemed to need constant social contact. They wanted to talk, to share meals, to simply be in each other's presence for no logical reason. Sarah's roommate, a woman named Jessica, kept inviting Keela to hang out, a concept that baffled her. But what would we do? Keela asked. I don't know, watch TV, talk, just chill. To what purpose? Jessica laughed. Not everything needs a purpose. Sometimes we just enjoy each other's company. Keela agreed reluctantly because refusing seemed to cause emotional distress, another inefficient aspect of human social dynamics. They sat on the couch and watched a show about people trapped on an island. Keela kept analyzing the survival strategies and pointing out logical flaws until Jessica threw a pillow at her. You're supposed to just enjoy it. Stop overthinking. I'm not overthinking, I'm just thinking. That's the problem, Jessica said, but she was smiling. Something strange happened, though. As the evening progressed, Keela found herself relaxing. The show was illogical and the dialogue predictable, but Jessica's running commentary was amusing. The physical proximity, which Nexari normally avoided, felt somehow comforting. When the episode ended, Keela realized she didn't want to leave. Same time tomorrow? Jessica asked. Yes, Keela said, surprising herself. I would like that. By week 3, Keela had developed routines. Morning coffee, a human addiction she'd initially scorned but now understood intimately. The bitter taste, the caffeine rush, the ritual of preparation. It was illogical and wonderful. She started going to the station's gym, initially to maintain Sarah's body, but increasingly because physical exertion produced endorphins that felt incredible. She joined Jessica for their evening TV sessions, and even started understanding why humans laughed at jokes before the logical punchline was delivered. But the real shift came during week 4. Keela was working late in the lab, analyzing neural data when another researcher, a young human man named David, started crying at his workstation. In Nexari culture, emotional displays were private affairs, handled in isolation. The proper response would be to leave and give him privacy. Instead, Keela found herself walking over. "David, what's wrong?" He looked up, embarrassed. "Sorry, I'm fine. Just got some bad news. My mom's sick, really sick. I should be working. You should be with your family," Keela said, the words coming before she could analyze them. "This work can wait. But the deadline is not more important than your mother." Keela felt Sarah's face making an expression, a gentle smile full of compassion. "Go, I'll cover for you." David left, thanking her profusely. Keela stood there, confused by her own actions. Logically, the deadline was important. The research mattered. But somehow David's emotional well-being had felt more important, not just to him, to her. When had that shift happened? Week 5 brought another revelation. Jessica invited Keela to a concert, live music performed by humans with guitars and drums. Keela agreed, expecting to analyze the mathematical relationships in the musical composition. Instead, she found herself swept up in something beyond analysis. The bass vibrated through Sarah's chest. The crowd moved as one organism, swaying and singing. The lead singer's voice cracked with emotion as she sang about loss and hope. And Keela felt it, not just heard it, felt it in her bones, in her racing heart, in the tears that streamed down her face. "This is incredible," she shouted to Jessica over the music. Jessica grinned. "I knew you'd love it." After the concert, walking home through the warm night air, Keela tried to explain. "Nexari have music, but it's mathematical, perfect frequencies in exact arrangements. This was messy. The timing wasn't precise. The notes weren't always in tune, but it was more beautiful than any Nexari composition I've ever heard. Why? Because it had heart," Jessica said simply. "Perfection is boring. The imperfections are where the humanity lives." By week 6, Keela had stopped trying to catalog every experience and started simply living them. She discovered that she loved rainstorms, the smell of wet earth, the sound of drops on windows, the excuse to stay inside with hot tea and a book. She learned to cook, finding unexpected joy in the creative chaos of combining ingredients without precise measurements. She made friends with other researchers, going out for drinks and learning the art of small talk. She was becoming human. And it terrified her. "I'm losing objectivity," she told Dr. Torres during their weekly session. "I was supposed to study human experience, but instead I'm just experiencing. I catch myself thinking like a human, reacting like a human. What happens to my Nexari self?" Torres leaned back in his chair. "What did you expect would happen when you put an alien consciousness in a human body? The brain shapes the mind as much as the mind shapes experience." Sarah's neural pathways, her hormone balances, her sensory processing, they're all influencing how you think and feel. But am I still me? Are you the same person you were when you started this experiment? "No," Keela admitted. "I'm different. Different isn't the same as lost. You're still Keela Venn. You're just Keela Venn with 90 days of human experience added to who you were." But the transformation went deeper than Torres knew. By week 8, Keela had stopped thinking of the body as Sarah's. It was hers. These hands, this heart, this chaotic, beautiful, frustrating human existence, it was hers. She'd expected to tolerate the human experience. Instead, she was falling in love with it. She loved the taste of chocolate and the burn of wasabi. She loved the ache in her muscles after a hard workout and the relief of a hot shower. She loved laughing until her stomach hurt and crying during sad movies. She loved the inefficient, wonderful way humans showed affection. Hugs that lasted too long, inside jokes, the warmth of companionship. Most unexpectedly, she'd fallen in love with someone. Marcus was a shuttle pilot who worked at the station, and Keela had met him in the cafeteria during week 7. He'd asked if he could sit with her, and she'd said yes. They'd talked about nothing important. His favorite routes through the solar system, her frustration with human inefficiency, the questionable quality of station coffee. It was illogical and unnecessary. She wanted more. They started meeting regularly. Coffee in the mornings, lunch when their schedules aligned, long conversations in the observation deck while stars wheeled past the windows. Marcus made her laugh. He listened when she talked about the strangeness of being trapped between two species. He didn't try to fix her confusion, he just accepted it. "You know I'm not really human, right?" Keela said one evening as they watched Earth rotate below them. "In 60 days, I go back to being Nexari. This body, these feelings, they're temporary." Marcus took her hand, and the touch sent electricity through her nerves. "I know, but right now, in this moment, you're here, that's enough." It wasn't enough for Keela. She wanted more moments. She wanted a future that included morning coffee with Marcus and evening TV with Jessica and the chaotic beauty of human existence. But that future was impossible. In 60 days, she'd return to her crystalline body, to her orderly Nexari mind, to a life that suddenly felt empty in comparison. Week 10 brought a crisis. Dr. Torres called an emergency meeting. "We have a problem. The consciousness transfer is more stable than we anticipated. Too stable. We're concerned that when we attempt the reverse transfer, there might be resistance." "What kind of resistance?" Keela asked, though she already knew the answer. "Your consciousness has adapted to Sarah's neural architecture. It's formed connections, established patterns. Forcing a separation could damage both you and Sarah. We might need to extend the experiment, or..." "Or what?" Torres hesitated. "Or make the transfer permanent. If Sarah agrees, you could stay in that body, live as a human." "But that means giving up your Nexari life entirely." The choice terrified her. Becoming permanently human meant abandoning her career, her family, everything she'd known for 43 years. But returning to her Nexari body meant losing this vibrant, chaotic existence she'd grown to love. It meant leaving Marcus, Jessica, rainstorms, and chocolate, and the beautiful imperfection of human life. She had 30 days to decide. Keela threw herself into experiencing everything she could. She went skydiving and felt the terror and exhilaration of free fall. She attended a poetry reading and wept at the raw emotion in the words. She told Marcus how she felt about him, and when he kissed her, she understood why humans wrote so many songs about love. She also contacted Sarah through the quantum link that allowed brief communications between their transferred consciousnesses. "Are you happy in my body?" Keela asked. Sarah's response came back thoughtful. "It's different, peaceful, logical. But I miss the chaos. I miss feeling everything so intensely. How about you?" "I love it," Keela admitted. "I didn't expect to. I thought I'd tolerate it, study it, and gladly return home. Instead, I want to stay." "Then stay," Sarah said simply. "I've already decided to remain Nexari. Your body suits me better than my own did. I think we both found where we belong, just not in the bodies we were born with." The decision should have been easy after that. But Keela spent her final week agonizing over it, talking to everyone who mattered. Jessica cried and told her to follow her heart. Marcus held her close and said he'd support whatever she chose. Dr. Torres reminded her that there was no wrong answer, only different paths forward. On day 89, Keela stood in the transfer facility, preparing for the procedure that would either send her home or make her humanity permanent. She looked at her reflection in the polished metal wall, Sarah's orange-toned skin that she'd come to think of as her own blonde hair she'd learned to style, amber eyes that had cried and laughed and seen wonder. "I'm ready," she told the technicians. "Make it permanent." The procedure took hours. When Keela woke up, she was still in Sarah's body, her body now legally and permanently. She felt the familiar chaos of human consciousness, the racing heart, the surge of emotion. Relief, joy, fear, hope. All at once, overwhelming and perfect. Marcus was waiting outside the medical bay. "Hey," he said softly. "How do you feel?" Keela smiled, that very human expression she'd learned to make with genuine emotion behind it. "Like myself, finally." They walked to the observation deck together, hand in hand, and watched Earth turn below them. Keela thought about the scientist she'd been 90 days ago, so certain she understood humans through data and observation. That Keela had expected to document human inefficiency, to catalog their emotional volatility, to prove Nexari superiority through rigorous analysis. Instead, she discovered that humans weren't inefficient. They were alive in a way Nexari weren't. Their chaos wasn't a flaw, it was their greatest strength. They felt everything intensely because that's what made life worth living. They loved imperfectly, laughed too loudly, cried too easily, and connected with each other in messy, beautiful ways that no amount of logical efficiency could replicate. "Thank you," Keela said to Marcus. "For what?" "For helping me understand. I came here to study what it means to be human. Instead, I became human, and it broke every expectation I had." Marcus kissed her forehead. "Was it worth it?" Keela looked out at the stars, at Earth with its chaotic weather and messy emotions and billions of humans living their imperfect, wonderful lives. She felt her heart beating its irregular rhythm, felt tears of joy prickling her eyes, felt the warmth of Marcus beside her and the weight of the choice she'd made. "Yes," she said. "Absolutely yes." 90 days had changed everything. An alien mind in a human body had discovered something her research never could have revealed. That being human wasn't about biology or efficiency or logical thinking. It was about feeling deeply, loving fiercely, and embracing the beautiful chaos of existence. She was Keela Venn. She was human, and she had never been more herself.